Good morning, children. Today is the second day of our lesson, French Revolution. Today we are going to learn about French society during the late 18th century. In this part, we will learn about how the society of the France was divided into three parts. Who were the three states? Why the people of the third state were so angry with the king? What was burdened on them, and why they did not like the government. This is what we are going to learn today. In the last lesson, you have already learnt about the French society. You know about the Louis XVI, and you already know about what was the events of the Bastille that took place. So now let us move forward to our lesson, and we will go to the next slide and we will see the two diagrams over there, and I will explain you what are the two diagrams all about you. So moving to the next slide. Yes, children, this is our second slide. In this you can see two figures over here. In the first figure, where you can see my cursor, the first state is written clergy. Clergy means the people who belong to the church. Okay, they are called the priest also. You must have seen in the church the fathers, the nuns who are over there, they are known as the clergy. They are involved in worshipping and they are found at the church. Okay, and now you can see the second state. Second state is nobility. Nobility means the people who worked under the king or who were the nobles were known as the nobility. In India we have the Jamindars. You must have read about the Jamindars in grade 8. Then we have the third state. Now this third state was also divided into three parts. Now the first one we see are the big businessmen. They are the merchants who are doing the business, because by this time they have settled many colonies, so they were making a lot of money and the people became rich. So that is why the big businessman and the merchant word has come over here. Then the people who worked in the court, lawyers and officials, the government officials who were also rich. Now this was a rich class, but they paid the tax. They belong to the third state. Now this is what we will see in our next class, that these are the people who have changed the society. They were called the middle class people. We will study about all these things in the next class. Okay, then we have the peasants and the artisans. Peasants, as you all know, are the farmers. Okay, but these farmers have a land, and the artisans, who you can see over is written over here, are the craftsmen who knew the various crafts to develop it and to know about it. So, and then in the last we see the small peasants, landless labor and the servant. Now these are the people who were really very poor and they did not have a land. They used to work for the upper three class, even for the third state, even the people at the third state, the big businessmen, merchants, they used to work for them. So most of the people in the France during that time were like this. They were the landless labor. We will see that in the next slide. Now coming to the next slide over here, as you all can see, there are the three circles. Can you see that the first state, the second state and then the third state? There are the three circles. Now as you all can see, there are the black arrows over here. Now the first state, as you all can see, is giving instructions to the third state. And what the third state is doing? Third state is giving a material support to the first state. As we all know, the first state over here is the clergy. So they are getting the material support from the third state. Now you see here, the second state. Now what do we see from the second state? They are the ones who are the ruling, like they are the nobility. They are the ones who are the nobles. They are ruling the third state and they are also getting the material support from the third state. Now what does the first state and the second state is doing here? Both of them are exempted from paying tax and there are many privileges that is given to them. Now first state is bounded by a moral authority to the second state and the second state is providing lots of privilege and exemption to the first state. Okay, so I hope you have understood the slide, you have understood the diagram. If any doubt is there, yes children, you can put it in the comment box, which will be after the video. So let us move to the third slide of our presentation and let us understand what is over there. Yes children, now we are into a third slide, a society of state. You have already seen the diagram, you know about it, or we can say you have seen the figure, you know about it, what are there in the, what is the state and who all are there in the state. So now we are going to study, now we are going to know what is a society of state. A society of state was a part of a feudal system that dated back to the Middle Age. Very old system was prevailing in the France, and this was also called old regime. It was also known as the old regime because it was an old practice that was being practiced in the France. Now in this, what do we see? That 90% of the population are the farmers, and most of them are the landless people. They don't have a land, they are working on someone else's land. Now, from whose land are they working? They are working on the land owned by the church. 60% of the country's land was owned by the church and the other members of a richer society, but most of the land belonged to the church, and these peasants used to work in the church on these land. Now, coming to the first two states. Okay, coming to the first two states, what do we see here? That there were many privilege that was given to them when they were born. Like from the birth, like we get fundamental rights nowadays, the same way they have got the privilege when they were born, and they used to enjoy it. The most important privilege that was given to them was not paying the tax to the country, to the state. To the government, they were not paying any tax. So they were exempted from paying any tax, and the feudal privilege was enjoyed by them. Many nobles used to enjoy the feudal privilege, like getting the dues, feudal dues from the farmers, asking them to work free, and they cannot say no to them because they were of the second state, they were of a higher class. The church also exploited these peasants by taking 10% of their cultivation in the name of a tithe. That was a religious tax that they were paying to the church. And these farmers, they also used to pay tax, direct tax to the state, to the king, and which was known as a taille. So there were two types of a tax that was being paid by them. One was paid to the state, that was called taille, and the other one that was paid to the church was known as tithe. Now apart from this, there were many other indirect tax like on tobacco, salt, which they have to pay. So now what do we see here? That the third state is burdened with lots of taxes which is levied on them, and the other two states are not even paying a single penny as a tax. All the financial activities, all the burden, what was only on the third state. Now because of this, the third state was very angry with the system. So in the next slide, we will see our picture, and then we will try to find it out what this picture is all about and what this picture is trying to tell us. So let us move to the next slide. Yes children, you can see a picture over here. You can see a person sitting on a chair and one person is standing in front of him. There is a spider just above him on the person who is sitting on a chair, and that spider has trapped a fly. Now when we see this picture, something comes to our mind. Why the artist has drawn this picture? We don't know who is the artist, but yes, it has been drawn showing the society of the old regime. Now let us find out why he has drawn this. So according to me, what I think, the spider he has shown as a noble or as people of the first and the second state, and the fly which has been trapped into the spider web is a person who is from the third state. So like a spider trap a fly for its food, the same way, to enjoy the privilege, to enjoy a good lifestyle, these people of the first and the second state used to trap the poor people of the third state. Now, according to me, this is what the artist is trying to convey to us. What are your opinion? Please write about it, and when we meet in the class, please show it to me. Let's move to the next slide. Now, our topic now is the struggle to survive. Now, struggle to survive, if you will see, there are two important words in this sentence. The struggle to survive. That means the people were struggling, were finding it very difficult to live. Okay, survive means to live. So, why they were finding very difficult to live, or what was the reason behind it? There must be some event, there must be some reason because of that they were finding it very difficult to survive, or they were struggling to survive. So let us find out what was the reason. The population of France, as you all know, rose from 23 million in 1715 to 28 million in 1789. 1789 is the year of revolution. During this time, the population of France rose, and when the population rises, the people, there is a demand. The people start demanding for the food grains. More amount of food grain is required, which was not there in the society because the production was less and the demand was more. Whenever there is a less production and demand is more, the price of the things rises. The same thing happened in the France. The price of the bread, which was a staple food for the French people, rose rapidly. Now, what do we see? People were not getting the bread. The people were not getting the bread, and this is what happened on the 14th July. I will tell you in the next class what happened. We know about it, that they went and they broke the Bastille, they demolished the Bastille, but something else happened that we will come to know when we will do about the outbreak of the revolution. Okay, so now let us come back to here, back to the slide. Let us come back here. So people were working in the society. We see that the people who were working as a workers or as a laborer were working on a very low wages. The salary which their wages means the salary. The wages, the salary which was given to them was very less, and the price of the goods was more. So there was very difficult time for them to maintain themselves, to live, to survive. Now, due to the less salary, the gap between the rich and the poor widened. And when this gap widened, then what do we see in the society? The poor are suffering and the rich are enjoying. So this is what happened in the France. Now things for the poor people became more difficult whenever there was a drought. Drought means when there was a famine, there was no water, or there was no good production of the food grain or hail, or there was a severe winter due to which there was very bad harvest. And when all these natural calamities happened, the things became more worse for the peasants, for the farmers, and they could not live. The poor people, it was very difficult because they were already overburdened with the tax. Now they had to suffer due to the natural calamities also. All this led to the subsistence crisis. So now you must be finding this a new word, subsistence crisis. Now children, subsistence crisis means when there is an extreme situation where the basic means of livelihood are endangered. We don't even get the basic thing for our livelihood. This is what is subsistence crisis. This is what was happening in the France, and this type of a crisis became a very regular feature in the France during the old regime. So, due to this, the people were suffering a lot, and there was lots and lots of problem happening in the society. So, let us recap in the next slide. So, let us move to the next slide and recap. Yes, children, let's recap what we have done today. If you have a doubt, if you have not understood anything, please make a note of it in your notebook. So, when we meet after this lockdown in the school, so doubts will be clear, or you can write it in the comment box also below. So, French society, we have done today. French society was divided into 3 states. We know about the 3 states, first state, second state, and the third state. Old regime was the term used to describe the society, and 90% of the population of France was the peasants. Most of the land in the France was owned by the church and the rich people. Members of the first 2 states enjoyed lots of privilege. They did not pay tax, the most important thing, and all the tax was paid by the third state only. Third state was also divided into 3 parts. Church has also levied tax on the third state, and there were 2 types of the tax. One was called tithe, which was given to the church, and the second one was taille, which was a direct tax which was paid to the state. Now, subsistence crisis, the crisis which led to the which led to the endangered livelihood was very frequent in the society, very frequent in the France, and due to which the public was very angry with the king. This is what we have learned today. Memorize everything, read it, refer to your textbook. One picture was also shown today. So, try to make your assessment about it. Make your judgment about the picture and write it, and let us do a few work that is given to you. That is your homework. So let me come to the next slide, and I will explain you what is the homework. What is the homework that is given to you, which you need to do in your notebook. Yes, children, this is your homework. This is the reinforcement. Now there was an image which was posted. Look at the image and answer the question. Why the artist has portrayed the nobleman as a spider and the peasant as a fly? You know the answer. If you have a doubt, refer to a textbook, or you can do one thing. Look at the picture. What is your interpretation about the picture? Please write that. Okay. The second question is draw a mind map of the society of state. Now you will draw a mind map, and in that mind map you will explain the society of state. You will explain what was the privilege that was given to them, who all were there. All these things please put up in your mind map, and draw a big mind map. It is up to you how you want to draw. You can draw it in any way, but the content which you put it over there should be very clear to me. Okay, now the third question is differentiate between tithe and taille. You know what is tithe and you know what is taille. They are the 2 types of tax that was being paid by the people. So you will write the differentiation between them. You will draw a table and you will differentiate between the tithe and the taille. Then the next question is, what do you understand by the subsistence crisis discussed? You will write about the subsistence crisis. What was the reason behind the subsistence crisis? Why it occurred? And what are the features of the subsistence crisis during that time? Please write about it. And next class we will read about the middle class which grew in the France, which came to the France, or the beginning of the middle class, which brought a revolution in the France. In the next slide we will read about it. Not the next slide. In the next day we will do that. Okay. So please complete your work and see you in the next class.